fire into 3 grass looks good, but then you look at the rest of the team and it's like, oh boy, these things definitely kill Tolkien.
Well, the Turok getting banned out is a really strong thing for Lulu as well. Obviously, that's one of the stronger wind threats on Kira's side that's gone. Boomerang being open is still a very daunting prospect, but that's also something that dies to Nagai's. And additionally, the Digis in the back, like even if we discount the electrics here. So that's some pretty cool stuff. Our Tolkien here, which is Mom's Lunch and Heater, is going to be pretty grim in our opener. And this does mean that he can just casually drop 𝗬𝗵 and still heavily threaten Kira, even on a Nid Nagai's board, which is definitely a fun little knife fight at this sort of opening at the outset here. We also notice that Kira is out of reserve time, like entirely out. So that's spooky. I sure do hope he intended to ban that 𝗬𝗏𝗺, which does, in fairness, look kind of frustrating for a lot of his team.
Yeah, part of me was wondering, like, was that on purpose?
Yeah. No, one can only hope. One of the downsides of, whoops, sorry about that scratch there. One of the downsides of losing all your reserve time is you're just kind of stuck with what you got, which definitely puts you into a hard position there. Still though, as second bans come out, we do see Lulu is considering the 𝗂𝗀𝗺. I'm not entirely sure I'm sold on that. Like, honestly, just banning the Barn here anyways is kind of a good idea. But we see
the opportunity to ban the only other wind is pretty cool, but then you could just end up getting your own Toxics banned again.
Well, true.
Interesting.
Like, this also does mean that you can ban out the 𝗬𝗵𝗎, meaning your electrics are actually able to do their job into those winds, which does appear to be Lulu's general sort of mode of operation here.
Is this a visual bug where the 𝗬𝗍𝗃 has, I guess it's gone now, it had the red ring around it, like it was to be banned out?
Oh no.
Third ban.
You gotta remember the third ban here. It's for after you pick your second Nid.
Yeah.
A very important one then. So we will see 𝗬𝗆 rounding out the bunch at the end there, as Lulu and Kirasumi will be going off against each other in this best of 3. Let's go. Man, Mom's Lunch slowing down openers since 2021. Our 𝗬𝗵𝗆 up there too, but 𝗬𝗵𝗆 is still exhausted. King of Uwu coming at us. And fortunately, there are a lot of E-Punch swaps. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of E-Punch swaps that also like getting hit by a Turok.
No. Or a Tolkien, for that matter.
That's the one. Yes. Oh man, it got me again. That's what I love about
yeah,
these
that
games.
naming convention is
It just gets you sometimes. It's great. I do love it. So the E-Punch does land in on 𝗂𝗀𝗺. I was wondering whether this would be the swap indeed, as it does look like this is our Sling Nid going in for this hit into the Tolkien here, as the Fiery Soul will still bop that 𝗂𝗀𝗆 quite effectively.
𝗂𝗀𝗆's got that sweet, sweet nature prio for that hasty lunge.
It does have Hasty Lunge. That is a really powerful tool that it has right now, but, you know, we are still looking at a 𝗬𝗵𝗆 that could very well be running Cyberclaw, and that would just... big spooks. We also still have Bait 𝗬𝗍𝗃 hiding in the back as well. They could easily swap for our 𝗬𝗵𝗆 or something like that here. That would also be a bit problematic for Kirasumi continuing to like throw damage into this, because like, you know, then you just Fiery Soul the 𝗂𝗀𝗆 again, it goes down after you accidentally lunge the baited 𝗬𝗍𝗃. That is another sort of thing here. Lunch wire. I do love it, despite all the horrors and memes. With that, we will see the Nidrasil actually swap out into Kinu, getting the Protector buff onto 𝗂𝗀𝗇, which is actually a very valuable thing. We actually see the Machoke land on the token spot. That's kind of surprising.
𝗂𝗀𝗇 is ready to charge Iron Filings either way.
Man, it's rare that you get immunity proc 3 times in a single move. And the bait Kinu coming in stops that Electro Punch from landing in on the 𝗂𝗀𝗇, but it also triggers the bait, which is quite nice for later turns.
Kinu is not happy to be on this board.
No, it's 2 things that do kill it, and the Machoke is nullified, which is kind of horrifying.
Although I suppose Kinu's not doing much into the rest of this team either. There are 3 Tims that it's not wanting to see.
Yep. And we have to consider the 𝗬𝗲𝗺's actual moveset here. As JD said, reset is something that we have to bear in mind that 𝗬𝗲𝗺 has, and it's generally considered an auto slot. We've seen Electro Punch is basically the only move this 𝗬𝗲𝗺 has clicked. But, you know, its coverage is wild. It does have the option of Turbine as well, which I think is pretty powerful. Not into this board ever, but it is powerful. Just casually open yourself up for the hasty lunge. You know, it's like showing your neck to your opponent. It's a power move.
Could be Laundry.
I agree. Laundry is another power move. You gotta get your Ragnet in there for that. Hasty lunge landing in on 𝗂𝗧𝗺 does mean that we do get a taser onto that and a seize, but the Ragnet is literally there for that.
And the Hypno onto the Machoke. There's less about this board. Sit here, hand up, buffs, heals.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Hypno onto the Machoke does mean that Kira's got some good control here for getting a lot of those buffs and heals that you're mentioning. Having that freedom of movement is quite nice. And thank you, JD, for being the legend of the background, actually optimizing my scuffed ass channel. Big appreciate. As Nidrasil will be hopping in again on yonder side, as Kinu will be healing itself with synergy, getting it right back up there. Grand stuff.
E-Punch coming in hot.
Yeah, no,
we love E-Punch.
That E-Punch do be slapping, though. Remember when that Kinu was basically up at full? Like, literally 2 seconds ago?
E-Punch.
Intimidating combination right there.
And it's simple. We just leave the E-Puncher on the right all the time.
Real easy. And yeah, no, Ragnet has Turbine available. I don't know if this Ragnet has Turbine.
There it is.
Well, there it is. Not very much into this, though. The bait is triggered on Machoke as well, as the Wastewater will be slapping into that Kinu, as First Blood is drawn on Luluch's side.
Sills on the slingshot procs. Oh, Depressed Nidrasil is just so good.
Depressed
it's
Nidrasil,
so good.
It's so much value baked into a single move. You get me? Because it's like, you know, you get your Tri-Apothecary proc, you get your slingshot, and then also you've done true damage. All on a Tim that didn't care about its speed anyways.
Yeah, now you can just like also not care about your attack stat.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I know some that still do, but like, you know, it's nice. I mean, you also have Purgation, so you really don't have to care about your attack stat.
Insanity.
And agreed, Diddlesticks. It's a quirk of the code because it's technically a 0 base power move. So technically its listed damage as it does damage as an attack is 0, which is why why it procs Slingshot, which is wild. We see our Oshidashi, however, yeet 𝗂𝗧𝗺 into orbit. The Ragnet is out of here. And
we have lots of other E-Punches.
It's true. We have reserves. We have a 𝗬𝗲𝗺 ready to come in and start E-punching. Turbo attack might also be a bit valuable here. Deceit Aura is out now that this Yggdrasil is so fast, you see. And hi there, Lightcube. This is the semifinals. As you can see, broadcast delightfully in this corner of the screen up here. We do have 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗏 swapping out as the Nagais comes in for double Deceit Aura. We love to see it. Depressed landing in on this Nagais as well, getting it some good damage with the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴.
Oh boy, and my game is bugged.
Oh no, what's your bug?
It's just frozen. I can only see
man,
it.
I was hoping it was an interesting one. I think my favorite.
No.
I think my favorite bug that I've gotten so far was like a the slow motion Momo that bugged my entire game and caused a desync. So that should be some pretty fun stuff. Right, so looking at this, now that we've got double Deceit Aura on the board, Lulu's attempt to manage this has gone awry, and yeah, no, if he's planning on just letting this Nid lose all of its stamina so that it can try to come back, and then resetting it then, the only problem is it's still going to be wreaking havoc on you until you actually, like, bop it, which is kind of an issue.
It's difficult to find room for Tolkien to come back in as well.
You're not wrong. The Nagais being on the board somewhat precludes it, alongside the fact that 𝗂𝗀𝗏's just been all over the place. The combination of those two have really put Turok on ice. Not literally, of course.
Done a great job of managing that Yggdrasil's weakness.
Very true. Speaking of not letting Turok back in, though, Tolkien back in. That name's just gonna keep messing with me. It does still sneak in as the Beta Burst lands in on the Mashuk, taking it down.
Taking down the Mashuk is huge.
It is certainly a very valuable thing at that point. It's you could argue that it did its job in terms of dealing with the sort of throwing wastewaters into King of Uwu, and then you know, being able to start like being an obstacle for *𝗂𝗀𝗏, and just steadily attempting to halt Yggdrasil's glorious rise to power. But the problem is, you know, it's still gonna have to go down. So, looking at this from our current position, we can safely see that Kirasumi is in a pretty dominating space here. The 𝗬𝗏 is really the thing that's stopping him from going from me saying that it's entirely Kira's game. But the problem is this Yggdrasil's just gotten too much value at this point. It's taken out 2 Tems, taken out half of a Nagais. The Tolkien's already kind of damaged as well. A lot of trouble here for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing to take down the slingshot user after it's gotten 3 buffs. And I think I'm trying to remember which items we've seen here. But I think it's safe to say that Luluch does not have a slingshot user on board.
Not in his current lineup, for sure.
Yeah. So I feel like this game is a testament to just how difficult it is to match a slingshot user without a slingshot user of your own.
Yep, it definitely is a thing. That was a very strong Electro Punch, however. Tolkien will be taking another Depress, which, thanks to the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗏, is going to be pretty ruinous there as well. Oh, man. The Fire Tornado will be coming out, but it's coming out into a... Okay, no, into the 𝗏𝗺𝗏 is actually quite nice. I don't have any problem with that.
What's stopping 𝗂𝗀𝗏 from coming in here and hasty lunging the Tolkien away?
Absolutely nothing at this point. unless this 𝗧𝗵𝗺 does in fact have a digital move that it can use to threaten 𝗂𝘀𝗺 right now, then we're kind of scugged. Another thing to consider is the fact that we still have not seen that reset come, and Lulu's running out of HP for everything that isn't 𝗧𝗵𝗺.
I suppose there's still an opportunity for a reset tornado, but that's enough.
Potentially. It's a little rough. We haven't actually seen anything else out of 𝗧𝗵𝗺 so far, but the CIF alongside the Hypno will be enough to take down the Turok and steadily level this 𝗧𝗵𝗺, as we're left with only Naga and 𝗧𝗵 on Lulu's side. This particular game looks like it's very much Kirasumi's in this first round.
I like to think Luluch won either way, just because you've said Turok so many times.
Yeah, no, that's a personal victory. Honestly, I'm running on empty here, but I'm going to keep it going. The show must go on.
Understandable.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, sadly at this point, the challenge is that Kirasumi just has too much to throw at him, and even if the reset happens at this point, it's just like so much has happened thanks to the slingshot on the Nid.
But yeah, it's too little too late.
Yeah, well, that damage certainly is too little too late, as the Depress will be landing again onto the Nagais, which thanks to those 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗃𝗃𝗃 procs, just gonna do it again.
Man, I can't believe reset hasn't been used yet.
I too am pretty astonished at the absence of reset on this board, but you know, it could be that Lulu in fact isn't running it for whatever reason as well. That's a possibility. Either way though, this first game has most ineluctably gone to Kirasumi. Either way though, we see Lulu versus Kira in our second game. Will Lulu be able to make it back in this one, or will Kira make it to grand finals? Man, people are just memeing now. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃. That'd be horrifying.
Oh, I'm so glad that the choice items don't exist in this game.
Yeah.
I think that was wise.
Oh man, choice items are really wild. So we see the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 is actually banned out instead, as Tolkien is first picked by Lulu.
J.R.R. Tolkien himself.
Indeed. I mean, he's definitely out here writing the hottest tracts. Thank you, thank you. I'm here all week.
Double pick.
So, looking at this, one thing that we can consider is... Okay, yeah, no, the 𝗂𝘀𝗺 Nid is the easiest sort of thing to see there, because that means that you get your hasty lunge immediately into that, despite the burn. And, well, we've already seen how good the Nid is into Lulu.
I think the plan must be to dissuade Lulu from picking a right Nid. That way they can ban both of the E-punchers.
Then surely Kirasumi will win. I see.
What do they do if they cannot E-punch?
Well, you don't kill Naga, that's for sure.
You do not. Or 𝗵𝗺𝗺.
Man, I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to just mentally picture choice specs Momo for a hot minute. Still though, you were right. We actually do see the E-punchers get banned out.
No E-punch today.
𝗵𝗺𝗺 is suddenly much more safe. Which is actually a concern when you see precisely how many toxics are left on Lulu's slots. I think the 𝗵𝗺𝗺 is actually a really valuable ban.
Now we get to see whether or not the toxics are enough to make up for the lack of E-punch.
Potentially. And yeah, no, choice specs Momo is a spooky thought. It's alright. Unseen Blow's getting patched out, guys. It's fine. Just a little longer.
We're buffing Unseen Blow.
Oh no. Knockback now no longer takes away 20%. It's fine. So we do see our Kinu on the other side there. I do think that both wins banned out there makes a lot of sense, especially when both E-Punchers actually did get banned out. 𝗬𝗏𝗏rian is an interesting pickup. I don't know how good 𝗬𝗏𝗏rian actually is into Lulu's team, but if that's there for disgrace memes, then that's awesome. This is also looking really rough for Nagai's. Like, I don't think it can actually come in this game.
Yeah, I don't think Nagai's can come in this game. It beats Tolkien, and that's like probably it.
Well, here we go in our game 2. Will Lulu continue this? Best of 3, and get his way back into this, his foot in the door, if you will, or will Kirasumi manage the same thing they managed last time? We do see our Platymus in the back there, definitely a spooky little quacker. As so far in this opening board, I will safely say that this 𝗂𝗬𝗍 kind of has free reign, which is kind of ironic when you consider Lulu's affiliation. 𝗂𝗬𝗍 Gaming unfortunately lives by the 𝗂𝗬𝗍 and dies by the Grand Orange energy drink mascot.
All right, I hate to leave you, but unfortunately, duty calls. So, unfortunately, I will have to duck out. But it has been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely no worries. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you with us. If you guys enjoyed 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴, then do remember that he's a streamer himself. Variety streamer, generally a pretty cool dude. I believe it's just Lanakou, no spaces, right? Yes, it is. Fantastic. Here, you can go ahead and follow him right here. He does a number of separate things. He did Inscription recently. It's a really fun game.
Still doing Inscription. We're going to be doing more Inscription tonight, probably.
Yes.
But,
okay. Awesome.
Thanks for the plug, and I will see you later.
All the best.
Good luck to both of our contestants.
Definitely. Right. In the meantime, getting back to this. Lulu versus Kirasumi. The Faraday cage into the Kinu, definitely a magnificent one right now. JT popping out as well. Thank you so much. You've been a darling, doing so much behind the scenes, JT. I'll go ahead and drop you a shout out as well. That you've been really good, helping me out today. Boom. You know him, you love him. He's fantastic. He is the ironclad Swede of doom. Give him some love. Meanwhile, in terms of things that need some love, this Kinu baiting out the Faraday cage that likely was intended for the 𝗂𝗬𝗍 was still a pretty strong thing in my opinion. The Kinu is certainly nowhere near as valuable as that 𝗂𝗬𝗍 is, and Lulu is forced to swap small out and try to get that 𝗂𝗏𝗃 in instead. So we see the CIF come out from 𝗂𝗬𝗍, which will absolutely level that Turok. He does occasionally stream, I think, Crater. I believe he does. Either way, though, the beta burst will be coming out as well into Bad J Dragon there, which will almost bring it down to 50%. The Seas, however, I think is the worst thing for 𝗂𝗏𝗃 this game. Just dropping those items out is actually kind of monstrous, showing that 𝗂𝗬𝗍 in the right sort of hands can be really, really powerful there. I don't know his current streaming schedule, sadly, Crater, but still, I found it's nice to send him some love regardless. He streams, I sleep, rip. Okay, so, Platymus hitting the board here, definitely intimidating for the Turok, despite the fact that, oh, I did it again, Tolkien quarter. Though the Tolkien is nullified, I think it's still a very powerful thing here. An important thing to consider is actually Rotten Goo onto Bad J Dragon. It does exactly the same as the first. We do get Goo synergy here, though, which is pretty nice. 𝗵𝗏𝗃 could still be waiting in the wings. It doesn't really do enough into this board, though, and I'm actually concerned on how Lulu finds his way back into this. We do see the 𝗵𝗃 does come out, potentially walls things, as the Rotten Goo does land in on that and triggers the bait. Means that Tolkien is able to live for another one. Did it again. We're going to need a Tolkien encounter at this point. It does mean, however, that we do not get the KO that would have been needed to take down the Tolkien, which then just throws out a tornado, wiping out that Platymus once and for all. Very important turn for Lulu there. That's an incredible amount of value that happened, and 2 Tems down on Kirasumi's side. And yeah, no, Goose Synergy just makes it 3 prio. It doesn't really do anything else. It already just seizes as is. I believe that's everything so far, I believe. So with that, we get our 𝗬𝗎rian in on a board it's not entirely comfortable with. Fiery Soul looking kind of rough for it, as there's not a swap in for that either. Despite there being an awkward position for Lulu earlier on, being able to muscle things through and actually take down the Platypus and the Kinu put him in a fantastic spot. And 𝗂𝘀𝗆's just not been able to do enough this game in comparison to the slower paced first game we had. Oh man, 34 prio. That'd be pretty intimidating, Chrono. Alright, so we do see Rush take down the Turok before it's able to throw a fire move into 𝗬𝗎rian. Very important, as 𝗂𝘀𝗆 does retreat. Just casually encountering enemies in PvE, and suddenly it hits you then. So a P-jab onto 𝗬𝗎rian is still incredibly valuable. Now Yggdrasil can just kind of poke away at 𝗬𝗎rian, and it doesn't feel as bad there. And in the meantime, Mashuk can just keep P-jabbing Yggdrasil at this point. I don't think that's actually a bad thing there. So we can sort of take that and bank that as we look at what Lulu's doing going forward. Obviously, I think that the Mashuk P-jabbing, as I said, is a really important thing to continue with. Yeah, no, sometimes it just happens like that, Gold. You know, you make it to top cut, and then sometimes it just gets a little haggard. I'll check out how the other semi's done in the meantime there. Oh man, yeah, imagine if Gold had been there as well. That totally would have changed it up. You know, that could be the case. We do see uppercut swap onto the swap in of a 𝗂𝘀𝗆 there. Very important, very important. As Depress lands in on our Danger Noodle here. Snek does eat the Tri-Apothecary quite comfortably, but it does still proc, of course, the slingshot that Yggdrasil needs to become its true chonky boy. And unless that gets P-jabbed appropriately, that's going to fly out of control in the same way that it did the last time. Oh, man. So, looking at this, obviously Kira's still just Tem-wise and HP differential-wise. It is absolutely favoring Lulu at the moment, but the question is Lulu going to be able to maintain this pressure now that this Nid is actually deciding to set up? Oh, man. With that, it's, I suppose, actually, okay, so the 𝗂𝘀𝗆 is still kind of ignorable here, if I look at it properly. Like, yeah, it can Oshi-dashi into the Nid, and that's pretty frustrating, but that doesn't stop the Nid from just continuing to pressure either of these slots effectively. And Gold, I'm glad that you found your true form as a scapegoat. That's very important. Oof. JD telling it like it is, though. Still, looking at this, I do think that if Kira is able to stay on target, and if Lulu does not pressure that Nid now, then it will spiral out of control like it did in our first game. So we'll have to see what that winds up being the same way then, as Bad J Dragon coming out there into the other side, as it will be taking that Oshi-dashi like a proverbial champ. And, yeah, honestly, the Spores is still pretty rough there, but the perfect jab back into 𝗂𝘀𝗆 is feeling pretty strong as well. Keeping the Yggdrasil's health alive, keeping the Yggdrasil's health up past the 50% mark is definitely a pretty important thing right there, and it's going to keep Lulu in this game a little longer into this. I think that managing and rotating your Tems against a force like this and just pressuring the other slot is a way that you can take this down. If your plan is just like whittle down Yggdrasil at the end, that's possible. It's a reasonable mode of play. We do see the CIF comes back out again. That will be taking down the 𝗂𝘶𝗆, I believe. Yep, no, there it goes. Way too low HP to be able to eat that, as the taser is not out. I gotta remember CIF with diffuser is heckin' weird. That is, however, an impressive OX on 𝗂𝗬𝗎 there, bringing it right down to 2.6%. So we're actually going to see 4 statuses applied to this 𝗵𝗂𝗃, eventually landing on seized and slept. Very impressive. No. Gold, that's set to trigger every, like, 10 minutes, just so you know. I'm glad that you thought there was a queue, though. Okay, so... No, it was just really good timing on JD's spot. Right, so looking at this, the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 being slapped is obviously a serious issue for Lulu. Making sure that that swaps out makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering if the 𝗧𝗪𝗪 is a wise reposition in this, though. We do see the depressed lands in on the 𝗧 again, though, and that's just more. And no, it doesn't appear to be on Mush or 𝗧. We'll have to see if it's on 𝗧. Nope. We do not see it on 𝗧. There's no telling precisely where it is, unless it's like magically on the 𝗧𝗪𝗪, which we haven't seen so far. Still, we are steadily seeing a decrease in the HP on Kira's side. The question is it fast enough? We have Rush potentially on 𝗧𝗪𝗪, which could be some pretty important stuff. It is kind of a trash user for it. We do see the Rush taking down the 𝗂𝗬𝗎 before it's able to potentially swap out, as we do see our 𝗵𝗂𝗃 hop back in here. Definitely the healthiest Tem on that side, as Spores will be landing out onto the 𝗧𝗪𝗪 again here. I have to ask that I don't believe Splitter even blocks 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃. That's what it is, as it will be taking that damage pretty unfortunately. With that, we have Chimurian up against a 𝗵𝗂𝗃 and a 𝗧𝗪𝗪 with the other Nidrisil in the back, which is going to be very important. Like, I think the way that Lulu breaks this is by having the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 on the board and then, like, try apothecarying his own 𝗵𝗂𝗃 to make sure he can just P-jab through the darkness. So... if that's what Lulu's plan is, I think that that's going to work out fairly effectively here. Also, the P-jab early on Chimurian is going to make it a lot easier to take down now. The question just comes down to, what is Kira going to get away with this so far? So, we'll have to see that. Oof. Sorry about being a little bit, less high energy than usual. It's just been a long one today, folks. We do see our CPG land in on the 𝗧𝗪𝗪 that does absolutely obliterate it before anything can be said and done. And Chimurian, despite the -1 defense, is not blinking and not going down just yet. Still able to throw in those god tier crystal plumed gatlings on appropriate enemies. And Lulu taps out. Kirasumi takes the second win.